I am Carolyn Monahan. I am the Director of Marketing Communications for the West Coast Chamber. And I'm just so happy that you're here to learn with us today. I know this is a very busy time for everyone, so I'm just really glad that you're here. Over the last 8 weeks, our team has been working hard to develop programs in response to our member needs and really the needs of our entire business community. And you know better than anyone that retail has been particularly hard hit by this pandemic. And that is why I am so happy that we have with us today retail expert Bob Nagin of Whizbang Consulting. And Bob is here. He's going to share some strategies, some tactics, some wisdom to help you jumpstart your sales now and as we look forward to the future of the retail experience as we know it. So before we get to Bob, just a couple of housekeeping items. The callers are all muted right now so that everyone can hear clearly. If you do have a question, we invite you to submit it using that chat feature right at the bottom of your screen down there. And when Bob's presentation is over, we will get to those questions during our Q&A session. And so without further ado, I want to welcome Bob Nagin to share with us this afternoon. Hi, Bob.
Oh, hi, Carolyn. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you all for giving me a little bit of your time here today. As Carolyn said, this is a crazy, crazy time if you're a retailer. And if I'm doing my job today, at the end of our time together, you'll have some clarity, you'll have some direction, you'll have a couple of tactics that you can use in your store. But one of the most important things that I know is that how you think about what's going on is going to have a big impact on the success that you're going to have after this is all over. And personally, I have never been more bullish on the future of independent brick and mortar retail than I am right now, and I'll explain why. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. Today we're going to talk about marketing your retail store in this crazy new world. So before we begin, let me tell you a little bit about myself, just so maybe as a credibility builder. I am not a professor. I have a degree in social work from Calvin College. I live up here in Grand Haven, by the way. So I know the West Coast of Michigan. But in 1981, I was 23 years old and I had a new hobby. It was kite flying. And I loved everything about flying kites. So I thought I would open a kite store. After all, how hard can it be to run a successful independent retail store? So I went up to Mackinac City. This is a picture of me in 1983. I'm the tall guy on the left with the short shorts and the bad mustache. And that's my brother Steve on the right. And there's the original Mackinac Kite Company in Mackinac City. And so I owned that business for 19 years. That first season, we did $17,000, a pitiful $17,000 in sales. But when I sold my share of the Mackinac Kite Company to Steve in 1999, by the way, he still runs it successfully. We were a $3.4 million, just under $3.4 million a year business. But even more than the growth in sales, I think the important thing that I want to share is that we had figured out how to run a successful retail business. That was really why I was ready to leave retail, because I wanted to share what I knew with other people. You see, in about 1992, I met my wife, Susan, and she was a department store executive. And she brought a whole new set of skills to the Mackinac Kite Company. As independent retailers, we tend to try to figure things out on our own. And she showed me that there was a certain way of doing it. In fact, I can clearly remember her saying, or me thinking, holy cow, somebody's actually taught her how to do this. And so when we took the sort of the passion and the spirit that I had, that most independent retailers have, for doing business, my passion for my product, my willingness to try things and added her skill set, all of a sudden magical things started to happen at the Mackinac Kite Company. And by the time I sold it to Steve, it worked. That's the important thing. We had it all dialed in. We were true retail professionals. And I wanted to share that. And Susan wanted to share that. So in 99, we started Whiz Bang Retail Training. This is a picture of me speaking at the Retail Success Summit, which is the world's largest educational event for independent retailers. It is held every year in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This year, it will be a virtual event that's not an official announcement yet, but every year, we're already scheduled out into 2021. And one of the reasons that I'm so excited to speak with all of you right now is because I would love to see you for future retail success events. We've had people fly in from Mumbai, India, from Italy, from Spain. People have literally come from all over the world specifically for the Retail Success Summit. And one of the things that I would love to see is I would love to see our local West Michigan retailers in the room. Okay, so that's who we are. And I share that just to tell you that I know retail. I mean, I live in retail. So I had my own retail business for 19 years. We've been doing this for 20 years. And you may not agree with everything that I say, but there's a lot of experience behind my opinions. So before we start talking tactics, let's just sort of talk real quickly about what retail is going to look like in the future. And I don't know exactly. Nobody knows exactly. If you can tell me exactly what retail will look like in the future or what the economy is going to be 6 months from now, please email me, bob.nagan@whizbang Retail Trading, because you're one of the few people who actually knows. But here's what I do know for no matter what the specifics are, I do know that there are problems right now, but the problems also speak to the opportunities. So I don't need to tell you the problems. Basically, you've lost the last, 2.5 months. The rebound is going to be slow. So the problems are foot traffic is going to be down. People are nervous about going into stores. Another problem is that the economy is suffering and nobody knows when it's going to come back. So those problems, they are very, very real problems, but they also speak to opportunities. One of the things that I hope you leave this session with is this idea that in every problem, there lies the seed of an opportunity. That while we may not know what's happening, if we work at it and we learn from it and we try things, that things are going to work out okay. As I mentioned earlier, I'm incredibly bullish on the future of brick and mortar retail because what is happening right now is that we are figuring out new ways of doing things. So the positives, let's talk about the positives. The positives is and this is these are positives for you, not necessarily positives for everyone or for retail in general, but stores are closing. Department stores are falling right and left. Chains like J. Crew have filed bankruptcies. And the problem with department stores closing is when a department store closes, it affects the entire mall that it's in, right? So you're going to see a lot less storefronts. Mid-sized chains that tend to anchor strip centers are going to fail. And they're going to affect the stores that are in those strip centers. And so, there's going to be a lot less storefronts, total number of stores. There's going to be a lot less square footage. So what that means is as a retailer, there's going to be less competition. Of course, Amazon is still going to be there. Of course, there are still going to be e-commerce players that are going to be there. And, there's still a lot of good retailers out there that are going to survive. but there's also going to be more money available to spend because people aren't going to be going to restaurants. I don't know about you, but until things change quite a bit, I'm not going to feel comfortable going into a restaurant. You know, the Kirby Grill here in the summer on a Saturday night, I'm not going to feel comfortable going into, you know, a crowded bar or coming down to our waterfront for fireworks. So this discretionary money that is usually spent on entertainment, movies, dinners, museums, you know, sporting events, that money's all going to sort of be available. It's going to be available to you, and those are the positives. So there are problems, but if you know how to deal with them correctly, you will be able to turn them into positives. And so let's talk about another metaphor that's really, really important here. And it's the freighter versus the dinghy. And I just want to apologize. I know that many of you are on this call are actual boaters, and you know that that is not a dinghy. That is a motorboat, and that is a boat in the front. So I caught that right away, but I didn't bother to change the slide. But that we know that that is not a dinghy. But let's think about this. What is the freighter? The Amazon is the freighter. Amazon is gaining more and more power and more, you know, weapons at their disposal, for lack of a better term, you know, as we speak. So the beautiful thing about a freighter, as you all, you know, who live on the west coast of Michigan know, is that they has tremendous advantages, right? It has size, it has power, it has the ability to carry enormous amounts of freight. It has very, very distinct advantages, just as bigger companies like Amazon have distinct advantages. They have access to a supply chain. They have access to distribution. They have access to capital. So they, you know, the bigger players absolutely have these assets that we as small to mid-sized independent brick and mortar retailers don't have. Here's what Amazon can't do and what you can do. You are the dinghy. So what can a dinghy do? A dinghy can rev it up and get out of the way. A dinghy can, change directions on a dime. If the sea is too rough, a dinghy can, you know, beach itself on shore and, you know, save a life. So the nimbleness of a dinghy is its advantage. And I'm looking at all of you and saying, your ability to think on your feet, your ability to try things right away as they occur, your ability to use your creativity to make things happen is a tremendous, tremendous asset. And I just want you to recognize it, embrace it, and use it to your advantage. Now let's talk about marketing. And so this is, you know, typically when people think about marketing, excuse me just a moment, when people think about marketing, they think about advertising. I don't think of it as advertising. You know, a lot of people, you know, I'll buy an ad in one of the tourist magazines. I'll buy a spot on the radio. They think of that as marketing. I think of marketing as a much more inclusive set of activities. I think of it as the business activity of presenting products and services to your potential customers, and I would add your current customers, in such a way that makes them eager to buy. So the old model of retail was drive people into the store and then sell them some stuff. But because a lot of people aren't comfortable going into stores, the new model is to really sort of, you know, to, for lack of a better term, soften them up, stay in front of them, make sure they know who you are so that when they are ready to buy what you sell, they think of you first. It's a big, big, big shift, but it's an important shift. So it's no longer about driving traffic. It's now about creating presence and creating opportunities to sell. So it's a big shift, but you can do it. One of the other shifts for a lot of retailers is the shift from transactional to lifetime value of a customer. And if you've been part of our community for any amount of time, like I know that Matt Holmes that was the person who contacted me about doing this webinar with all of you, he's been in our community for a long time. And if you've been a member of our community for any amount of time, you know that we place this tremendous emphasis on nurturing the lifetime value of a customer. And, unwise, inexperienced independent retailers focus on the sale. Wise, experienced, the people who are going to be successful when this is all over are people who are going to focus on the relationship and the lifetime value of a customer. Share a story with you here. Many of you have probably been here to Grand Haven, Michigan. Grand Haven, I guess I don't have to say Michigan. When I speak in Vegas or something, I go, here's Mackinac City, here's Michigan, here's Mackinac City. So in Grand Haven, Michigan, you may know Fortino's. It's a 110-year-old store in downtown here, gourmet food store. Well, we used to be the Fortino's tenants. We were right next door. The Mackinac Kite Company was right next door. And I used to speak to Paul, who was the second generation of the three generations of Fortino's who ran that business. And I liked Paul. We got along great. And, one day I was asking him about what made him successful. And he says, Bob, here's the deal. He said, kids come into and they buy candy from me. They come in with their parents and they buy candy. And then when they become teenagers and they're hanging out downtown, they come in and buy pop from me. And then we have a relationship with them. And when they turn 21, they come in and buy their beer from me. And then when they become successful, they come in and they buy their fine foods and their good scotches and their nice wines from me. And then they bring their children in who buy candy from me. And those kids go through the same cycle. You see, so Paul wasn't looking at his business from the perspective of a sale. Paul was looking at his business from the perspective of multiple generations. And that's how the best retailers think. And that's how the successful post-pandemic retailers are going to think. It's all about the value of the customer. It's all about the value of a customer. And this is how you figure out lifetime value of a customer. And I would encourage you to do this for yourself. It's a really, really valuable number. You don't need to have an exact number, but if you can spitball a number and sort of put that number in your head, it changes the way you do business, right? If you realize that a customer is worth $4,000 to you, you treat them a little differently than if you saw them as a transaction for $9.99. So here's how you figure it out. You take your average sale, in this case, $40. You figure out how many times your average customer comes into your store every year. Now, I know some of you are going, I have people who are in 3 times a day driving me crazy. I have some people who come in once and never come back, tourists say. But just come up with an average. Just think about it. In this case, 40 times 10, this store has an annual average value of $400. And if your average customer stays with you for 10 years, that means that your business has an average lifetime value of $4,000. And I would strongly encourage you to go through this because it really does shift the way that you look at how you do business. We're thinking long term. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And the more that you can lock into relationships, build those relationships, build the lifetime value of a customer. When you think that way, you behave differently and you behave in a manner that focuses on the long-term prosperity of your company. WWMCW. This is a concept that Susan and I developed for the customer focused philosophy that we believe, that we teach, that we espouse, that we live our business lives with. And WWMCW stands for What Would My Customer Want? What would my customer want? Isn't that beautiful? It makes all of your decisions so much easier. What would my customer want? When you start thinking about your store hours, what would my customer want? When you think about your return policies, what would my customer want? When you start thinking about this new reality, what would my customer want? And when you start to think that way, and it's this philosophy, this strategy of WWMCW is going to be even more important when this is all said and done. Your customers are going to be a lot pickier, but when you focus on your customers, great things happen. And here's how I see when we talk about WWMCW, this idea of omni-experiential becomes even more important. You know, in retail, if you follow retail, if you do more than do retail, if you're more than just a retailer, but if you actually look at what's happening in retail, there's been a lot of talk about omni-channel retailing. And omni-channel is a good term, but it focuses on distribution, right? Omni-channel. The channel is in store. The channel is online. The channel is. It focuses on a distribution. But I've changed this around to term omni-experiential because right now your customers want to experience you the way that they want to experience you. Again, the model of your marketing drives people in your store, and then you convert that traffic into sales is incomplete. And if you're counting on that model to bring you into the future, you are in deep, deep doo-doo, friends, right? Everything has changed. And the more that you can adapt, the more that you can build your life and build your business life around WWMCW, meeting your customers where they want, the better off you're going to be. And something that I didn't mention earlier that I was remiss, but I'm going to share it right now. When we were talking about the positives, I really, really feel a groundswell of support that I've never felt before. You know, I've never been a huge fan of the shop local movement because I always kind of felt like that movement was there to guilt people into spending their money. Don't get me wrong. I didn't dislike it. It just never struck me as the way that we as independent market retailers should market our business. We should want people to shop with us because we are the best option. That's how I've always looked at it. But it's sort of shifted now. It's not about that guilt trip. It's not about supporting people. Now it's for the money. Now it's about people understand how valuable we really are. Somebody went through downtown Grand Haven in the last few days and put up signs that said, we miss our small shops. You know, there is this sentiment that people are finally truly getting what their support means. And I've never felt that before. And so they want to support you, but you must meet them where they live. You must give them that WWMCW kind of experience. So when we think about omni-channel, omni-experiential, it's always about there's all these different ways. Multiple ways that you are interacting, relating to, selling to, delivering to, giving experience to your customers. Now, a wise man said this. Actually, it's me, but somehow I just like being able to say, and a wise man said this. It's not your customer's job to remember you. It's your job to be remembered. And this is more important now than ever. So being able to and being willing to and doing a good job at communicating with your customers is more important now than ever. So one of the things that we're seeing when we just start talking about foot traffic being down is that is happening because people are trying to spend as little time and in stores and go to as few stops as possible. Had a long conversation with vice president of sales for a large pet supplies distributor. And that's what he was saying. He said his independents are suffering right now. Not all, but some pet stores are suffering because people don't want to go into another store. If they're going to Meijer's, they're going to get everything they need at Meijer's and they're going to get out as quickly as possible. And then they're going to be done with it. So they're going to buy their pet food at Meijer's. So, and that's just sort of a natural way that people are behaving because they don't want to become infected with the virus. They do want to be safe. They do want to be protective of people in their family who might have underlying health conditions. So just recognize that that's a fact, but then you have the responsibility as a business owner to counteract that, to make people want to shop with you, to make it worthwhile for them to make that extra stop. That's what we need to do. We need to get incredibly proactive about communicating our value, communicating how we're making it safe for our team and our customers, and really, really communicating how important our customers really are to us. So what does a part of Omni Experiential, certainly not all of it, is giving your customers more buying options. Again, old model, get people in the store, sell them some stuff. New model, people want to shop the way that they want to shop. So they want to buy in store. A lot of people want to buy on social media. A lot of people want to, and we'll talk about live social media in a little bit. People want to buy on a website. Some people want to pick up the phone and make their order. Some people want to shop by appointment. And shopping by appointment is sort of an in-store experience. But when I said in-store, I meant, just the regular foot traffic that we're used to experiencing as independent retailers, right? People come into your store and they shop. Appointment's a little different. You make an appointment, maybe it's before hours, maybe it's after hours, maybe it's during hours. You make an appointment, you come in, and somebody helps you, and you have a set time that you work in that, or that you can buy in that store. People want more delivery options. Some people want to come into the store and just pick up their, shop and buy and go home. Some people want curbside delivery. I personally think curbside delivery is here to stay. I mean, there's a lot of people, until there's a vaccine that's been found, until it has gone away, or the coronavirus has been brought under control, there are always going to be people who have to be protective of other people. And as long as that happens, curbside, local delivery, shipping is going to be a big part of the way that you do business. And if you choose not to do these things, you will lose business. If you choose to do these things and market it correctly, communicate it clearly, you will get more customers. So this is super, super important that we recognize that people want to shop differently than they did pre-pandemic, and they want different delivery options than were necessary pre-pandemic. So the reason that I shared this, is I thought of something that I'm really, 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 did I mention, really excited about. And I thought of it this morning, and I talked about it on our podcast this morning. For the last 8 weeks, and for the next couple weeks anyway, I've at 9:30 a.m. on our WizBang Training Facebook page, I do a coronavirus in the independent retailer podcast. It's about 15 minutes long, and then it's converted into an audio podcast that you can find on any of your major podcasting platforms. But this morning, I created this. I mean, I literally created it this morning, but episode 43. And I talked about this model that will allow you to really figure out how individual shoppers want to shop and how to use that information to proactively build relationships and proactively build sales. So, I don't have time to do that, to put that into this slideshow here today. It would have taken a major reconfiguration. And like I said, I just thought of it this morning. But I would encourage you, if you like what I'm saying, if you like the way that I'm thinking about what it takes to be successful, now in the next few weeks, in the future, I would strongly encourage you to listen to this particular episode of the podcast. By the way, that page right there has all the episodes from the podcast. Every week for the last 9 weeks, we've been doing an hour-long Q&A community forum. So if you want a lot of retail-specific information, we call it our binge page. I'd encourage you to go there. But in particular, pertaining to what we're talking about here today, I would encourage you to go listen to episode 43. So, countdown to opening. Hey, Michigan, we're here. We're getting close. So I wanted to really kind of talk about how do you get your customers really excited about you being open. So first of all, how many days? How many days are there in your window? Post in your window. 9 days till we get to see you. Post it on your social media and website. You can easily get a plug-in. That's a timer. Make sure that your customers know that you're going to be opening in X amount of days, and really, really make sure that the message is that you missed them, that you can't wait to see them again. I just can't wait to do business with you again. Don't make it about, I haven't made any money in the last 8 weeks. I need some cash right now. Make it about them and your relationship. And, one of the beautiful things about being an independent retailer is we get to know our customers. They get to know us, and, make that feeling an important part of your message. We've missed you guys so much. We missed you so much. So you can also make it a contest. So let's say there's 10 days till you can open up again. So you could have 10 days, and then every day that someone buys something from you with curbside pickup, with delivery, buys from your website, they get a chance to win. So what are you doing? You're giving people a reason to shop with you now, because on the first day that you reopen, what do? You have a Facebook Live, you draw the winner, and da-da! So that's a way to do it. Pro tip, if you're going to have a contest, always ask your vendors for help. Always. Because if you have any kind of contest at all, the bigger the prize, the more people will play along. So if you have an absolutely fantastic prize, people are going to buy more because they want a better chance at winning the prize. Another thing that you can do that sort of gooses your contest early on is every day to count down the number of chances they have to win diminishes. So let's say it's 10 days again. So if you make a sale if somebody buys something from you on day 1, they get 10 chances to win. On day 2, they get 9 chances to win. Day 3, they get 8 chances to win. And this is a popular way to add scarcity to your promotion. Something that else that you can do is you can have an item sale. I don't know how many of you who are watching this are in our community, but for years, one of the promotions that we've taught that has really become almost ubiquitous is this thing called the 12 Days of Christmas. And an item sale is a promotion where you put one item at a very, very, very deep discount, and that item is what gets people to buy. Traditionally, the item sale was to get somebody into the store. So you took a hit on the margin of the one item to generate the traffic. And then again, your people would sell them more stuff. So right now, since people can't come into your store, you might not want to have such a deep discount. But if you put together 10 days, a 10 days till opening promotion, and every day you come on Facebook Live, or every day you make a video, or every day you send an email, or preferably you do all three, you say 10 days. So this is day number 10. This is the thing that we have on sale, or this is the bundle we have for you, or this is the buy one, get one that we have for you. But what are we doing? We are, we're trying to whet our customers' appetites so that when we do open, they want to buy. Something else that I would strongly encourage you to do is to have a store tour video. 2 of them actually, but the most important one is your safety and sanitation process. People want to know that you are doing everything you can to keep them safe. They, especially the people who are really very careful, because A, they're careful for themselves, or B, they're careful for a loved one, but they want to feel safe and comfortable. And you should have a procedure and a protocol, and it should be written down, and you should stick to it. One of our Platinum Mastermind group members has got a baby store in Oklahoma City, Green Bambino. Really, really great merchant, great store. And she wanted to open up in phases. So what she has done is she created a video, and you can only shop in her store by appointment. It costs $20 to have an appointment, and that $20 is applied to the sale. What she's trying to discourage that sort of that casual traffic. And then she has a whole process. So as soon as you come in, you mask up, you go straight to the sink and wash. So, and she made this whole video about what she's doing and why she's doing it, so that anybody who's interested in coming into her store, A, they have to call for an appointment. So she has an opportunity to sort of lay down the ground rules. And when people come into the store, she locks the door. It may violate fire safety rules, don't know, but people love it. The people who care are very, very appreciative of her very, very tight safety procedure. Now, you may not have to do that. You do what you feel is best, but it is important that you over-communicate what you're doing, especially, if you don't care, if you think the virus is a hoax or whatever your belief is, if your belief is that it is your responsibility to keep yourself and your staff and your customers safe, and you have done the work to create the processes, to do whatever you can to ensure that safety, make sure you make a video, post a video on social media, send it out in an email, put it on your website, create flyers about it, over communicate it. The other thing that I like is I love a sizzle reel. A sizzle reel can be very, very simple. Where's my phone? Sizzle reel can be as simple as walking around your store. Hey, man, it's Bob here. I'm sorry, I've got it outside of the frame. Hey, it's Bob here, and I'm just here to show you what we've done. We've missed you guys so much the last 8 weeks, and we've done some really, really fun stuff here in the store. You can see that we painted it. We took that section and moved it over there. We cleaned the carpet. We've got in all this new stuff. In fact, I've got 5 boxes right here that I want to unbox for you. But really, really, show them the love. Make sure that it's fun and entertaining, and you show them that they are important, that you can't wait to see them. So a sizzle reel production value in these things is not nearly as important as authenticity and authority. Authenticity, just be real. Authority, authority would be, I have researched to within, I am sick of researching safety procedures. I mean, I have spent 20 hours going through the CDC website, going through all these, I know safety, and here it is. That's what I mean by authority. So when you talk about what you're doing, your people go, okay, she gets it. I'm in. I feel good shopping there. Okay, so that's sort of what I have for your countdown to opening. Now let's talk about things that you can do, to get people back in the store. And I don't know, I know several of you are in our community and you probably know about this, but one of our primary customer acquisition tactics that we teach is giving away gift certificates. Because when you give away a gift certificate, people treat it like cash, right? I'm Dutch. If there's 100 people registered for this, there's probably 15, 20 of you are Dutch. And it's no secret that we're known as being frugal. You're in Holland, right? This is a big open secret. We're frugal. And I have never clipped a coupon in my entire life. But a gift certificate, I have never thrown away a gift certificate in my entire life. If I were to throw away a gift certificate, my mother would roll over in her grave. Why do gift certificates work? Because people treat them like cash. Don't use a coupon. People treat coupons like trash, throw them away. They treat gift certificates like cash. So when you give a prospect a gift certificate, the chances are they're going to come into your store and then they see what a wonderful business you are. And then you are on the road to more transactions. You are on the road to realizing lifetime value of a customer. Now, usually we use gift certificates to acquire new customers, but since we've got sort of this 8-week layoff, I'm going to encourage you to send gift certificates to your current customers. One of our big challenges is to get people in the habit of coming back to us. If you have a pet shop, to not buy their dog food at Myers or Walmart, to get them to come back into your store, to get them thinking about you and your business, to get them in so they can get a taste of what they liked about you in the first place. So let's go through a couple things. Snail mail. I love the idea of sending a letter in an envelope with a gift certificate. So they're going to get a letter from you, Bob's Boutique, and because it's a warm introduction, they're already my customers. They're going to open it up, and the letter is going to scream love and affection. I can't wait to see you again. As you know, we're opening up and talk about the different ways that they can shop, talk about the different delivery options that you have, but it gives you a good chance to make the case completely. And then again, have a gift certificate. Use that gift certificate as the bribe to get them in. Oh, I like the letter. However, there's a problem with letters, is a lot of people will treat your letter, even if they're your best friends, even if they're your best customers, they will treat your letter like junk mail. They will throw it away and they won't get the message. They won't get the gift certificate. They won't get the bribe to come in. And one way around that is with postcards. Let me tell you how I get my mail, and ask yourself how you get your mail. Here's how I do it. I go to my mailbox, I pull out my mail, and while I'm walking to the garage, I'm sort of sifting through it, and then I go to my recycle bin, and I stand right next to my recycle bin, and I have an A pile and a B pile. The B pile is a junk mail that I never read. Ding, 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 ding. And the A pile is what I keep to read. Now, the problem with snail mail, the problem with the letter is it may go into the recycle bin. The beautiful thing about a postcard is that people read it. They look at it like this, they skim it, right? So it's not going to get thrown away just because it hasn't been seen. So what you do with the postcard is you have, on one side, you have the super quick message. On the other side, and the address. On the other side, you make your graphic look like it's a gift certificate. So up to you what you use. Now, here's what smart marketers do. If you were a smart marketer and let's say you decided to send out 1,000 of these things, you would send out 500 letters and 500 postcards, and you would see what came in the most, right? And then if postcards crushed the letter, good. Now you can send another 500 postcards out because the postcard is a more effective marketing tool. Expiration dates. Let me check my phone, see how we're doing on time here. 1:45. We're doing great. Really want to make sure we have some time for Q&A. Expiration dates. Again, up to you. 2 ways to do it. In general, when I teach gift certificate marketing, I say, don't put an expiration date on it. I just want people to hold on to them and use them, right? Because I gladly, let's say it's a $10 gift certificate, and my cost, and I keystone it. That means I've got $5 in actual goods into that, that transaction. I will gladly pay $5 to get somebody into my store. If I've got a good store and I've got good merchandise mix and I've got a highly trained, highly skilled sales team, I'll gladly pay $5 to have somebody come in the store because I know what I can do with them. So in general, I don't like expiration dates. I just want them to hold on to it. But in this case, what we're trying to do is get people in the store sooner, again, getting them used to this whole idea of this store is great. Reestablishing that connection and reestablishing the importance of the experience in your store to your customers. So that's up to you, do as you see fit. This is just an idea for you. The only fine print, and if you're taking notes right now, which I hope you are, please write this down. There must be one line of fine print, and it is this: please, only one gift certificate per person. You could even say per family. What you don't want to do is, the reason gift certificates work is because people treat it like cash, right? So if you're giving away a $10 gift certificate, you don't want somebody to go and talk to all their friends and neighbors and sort of gather them up and come in with $10 gift certificates and expect to spend $100, because that is what will happen if you're not paying attention, okay? All right, so that's gift certificates. Gift certificates are a great way for you to get your customers back in your store and start the ball rolling. Facebook Lives. Now, some people are using Instagram Lives. I'm not super familiar, but in our community, most people are doing Facebook Lives. And by the way, when I say our community, I mean the people who subscribe to our list, but primarily what I'm talking about right now is we have a closed Facebook group called Whiz Bang Retailers. It's got almost 4,500 members, and it's relentlessly positive because we don't allow any negativity, but it's filled with ideas and people sharing ideas and support, sharing what they're doing. And I would strongly encourage you to go and join that group, because this is where, when this thing started to happen, we knew that stores that were closed needed to keep the hustle, needed to find ways to keep selling. And so right away, we started promoting these live events as a way to do business, even if you were closed. And so we pushed it early on in our community. And I'm happy to say people got on the bandwagon and shared their experiences. I'm going to share one quick experience with you right now. So Susan Glenn Wallace has a knitting store in Bay City, Michigan. It's called A Piece of You, EWE, the lamb. And she has been in one of our high-level programs, the Business Breakthrough Accelerator. And so we know Susan, and she emailed and she was like, Bob, you're talking about Facebook Live. I don't want to do that. I'm not any good on camera. Yada, 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 yada. Blah, 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 blah. The 1,000 reasons not to do something you're supposed to do. And I know some of you are guilty of that too. I know I'm kind of guilty of that too. Anyway, since the pandemic has started, Her sales are up significantly, and her store is closed, and she is using no employees. She's doing it all with Facebook Live events. This is a great, 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 great way for you to build relationships. Remember, I mentioned earlier that when we talk about omni experiential, that people are going to want to buy the way that they want to buy, that they're going to want to experience you and your personality and your store the way that they want to experience you and your store and the experience you give in your store. This is a way that allows you to build relationships, build buzz, sell stuff without having people having to come into your store. So when we think about Facebook Live, this is really important. It's more than just social selling. There's two tracks. The one track is what we call content. Here, I'm pointing to my screen like you can see me where I'm pointing. It's content. It's not a selling show. It's fun. So if what Susan did was she did a little of both, hybrid shows. She would teach techniques and then sell the stuff. But if I was a bike shop owner, I would do Facebook Lives where these are the content shows. I would do Facebook Lives where I would teach people how to tune up their bikes, where I would go out because, we're allowed out on the trails, where I would go out to my favorite trails and show people my favorite trails. All of these things, content fun shows are entertaining, they're distracting, they scratch an itch. We have a lot of clients in the quilting business, and they do lots, and that's a great place for education, teaching techniques, all those sorts of things. So that's one track, content. Let me back up just a second here. When we teach marketing, we teach this idea of the emotional bank account. And I learned the emotional bank account when I read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I heard the concept of the emotional bank account. I was like, wow, that's brilliant. And immediately I thought it was a marketing concept. And so I'm giving credit to Covey. But when it comes to marketing, here's how I think of it. Covey contended, and I agree, that in any relationship, for the relationship to be strong and positive, there needs to be 10 deposits for every withdrawal. And when we think about marketing, we are very, very conscious. So, our clients are very, very conscious. We here at Whiz-Bang Retail Training are very, very conscious that we don't sell too much, that there is a lot more give than ask. And so when we talk about these live events, if you do a weekly show on techniques, on things like that, those are all deposits. There are other deposits, of course, also. Every time you send an email that's helpful, it's a deposit. Every time you post on social media something that's interesting or funny or a meme, it's a deposit. You post on YouTube. So everything you do that gives something, that doesn't ask in return, it's a deposit. And you earn the right to ask, right? Just like in a regular bank, the more people, the bigger your balance, the more you get to withdraw. And when it comes to marketing, the bigger the balance in the emotional bank account, the more you get to ask for the money. And so that's why, it's a very, very helpful concept, in my opinion, because it keeps us focused on giving value to our customers, not trying to take from our customers, but to give to our customers. If you're taking notes, write this down. Givers get. Givers get. Now, when we talk about direct selling, so yes, you want to have content and you want to have these shows, but at the end of the day, we're trying to make money, right? Givers get, but we need to get. And so I also love these direct selling, these social selling shows. And that's where you get on and, you watch a little QVC, you learn how you do it, and you go, hey, I'm Bob Nagin. And, you see this handy dandy whiz-bang retail training logoed glass? It's glass. It's awesome. Right now, normally it's $19.99, but if you're one of the next 10 people to buy it, it's only $7.47. and I'm over exaggerating, of course, but you're selling stuff. You're selling stuff. So that's the other path. And, both of those paths both of those channels are very, very important. Now, here's something that's really cool. One of our Platinum Mastermind group members started to invite their vendors to do their live events. So they would bring in a vendor, and Misha is her name, Misha Seto. She's got 13 stores on the Delaware shore, and she'd bring in a vendor, and the vendor would talk about their goods. So basically the vendor was there selling the products for Misha. And then Misha would sell it. And, so she got help. She got help. And she found it very, very effective, especially since several of her stores have sort of celebrities in the industry. If you're in the quilting or sewing industry, they have these celebrity quilters. Well, these celebrity quilters are quarantined too. If you can get one of them on your show, you're going to get a lot of play. And then, of course, they help you sell stuff. We also have people in our Platinum Mastermind group who did this also. But what they did was they let their vendors drop ship for them, but they recognized that it was a mistake because now their vendors have their customers' email address and contact information. So basically, she inadvertently gave her vendors one of her customers, and that's not what she wanted to do. But I'm just looking at all of you and telling you that if you haven't started Facebook Lives, now's the time to do it. Now, the Chinese have an old proverb: what's the best time to plant a tree? 100 years ago or right now. And it amazes me when I go through our Facebook community, Whiz Bang Retailers, how many people, we've been talking about this for 8 weeks now, how many people last week, man, I did my first Facebook Live. It was awesome. I sold $2,000. And I just want to pull my hair out. It's like, haven't you been paying attention? So, and I don't mean any malice when I say that, but I am encouraging you to get on it, start it. The first couple of times you're going to do it, it looks terrible. If you want proof of that, go to the coronavirus page on Whiz Bang Retail Training or Whiz Bang Training that I told you about. And you can see all of our podcasts, all 43 episodes, and look at episode number 1. Frankly, it looks horrible. The content was good, but it was horrible. But the point is you just got to start. Don't let perfection get in the way of progress. For a lot of you, I think that this may be one of the most important selling tools in your marketing arsenal of the future. And what I'm talking about is, again, people don't want to come into your stores, or some people do, but not everybody. Omni Experiential lets them do it the way that they want to do it. Lets them buy, lets them shop the way that you want them to shop. Private appointments. You can have in-store private appointments. You let people in. I talked about Morgan Harris just a little bit. You can allow people to shop with you via FaceTime, right? You walk around the store, you show them the merchandise, you talk to them, you treat the transaction as if it was live. You sell them. You do all the things that you would do if they were in your store. So, and you can do phone, text, or email. So private appointments, I think, are an important part of any omni-experiential. And then let's talk about clienteling, because I absolutely adore clienteling. And especially if you're in women's fashion, or unless you're a party store, a liquor store, even then you can do clienteling. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting enthusiastic here. Clienteling is when you match up your customers to one of your employees, and that employee becomes responsible for the relationship. That makes sense? So I own Bob's Boutique, I don't own Bob's Boutique. I work at Fred's Boutique, and I am assigned Jane. Jane is my client. and she is my client. I am responsible for her experience at Fred's Boutique. So I know that Jane loves red dresses. Red cocktail dresses are Jane's big, she loves them. So every time a red cocktail dress comes in, I call Jane, I text Jane, I phone Jane, I email Jane. I don't care. However, Jane likes to be contacted. I go, wow, Jane, this dress is awesome. You need this dress. If you don't try on this dress, you're gonna hate yourself when you see a picture of whatever. I got a relationship with Jane. I can talk to Jane the way she wants to be talked to. But that's how it works. Regular communication. Now, again, I'm giving you guys a lot of homework. Episode 43. Now I'm giving you another piece of homework. Go to that same webpage, whizbangtraining.com/coronavirus. Scroll down the page and you will see there's a number of interviews I did. One of the interviews I did was with Maureen Doran. And Maureen is a Platinum Mastermind Group alumni, and she is a master clienteler. She has 3 luxury women's wear stores in the Philadelphia area, and she's got the whole process dialed in. She took her entire team from 3 stores, and they had an offsite meeting, and she printed out her entire customer list, and every single one of her customers is assigned to a stylist. Her employees are, her salespeople are called stylists. And then she has built a really, really, really robust system for accountability and process and procedure around that. But her number of transactions and the lifetime value of her customers is just tremendous. Why? Because she's not waiting for people to come in. She is proactively building the relationship. And this is so very, very important. Again, your customers have been gone for 8 weeks. There's a tendency for them to drift away. Right now is the time to bring them back into the fold. One of the episodes of the podcast, I talked about this idea of the most important thing you can do as we come out of this thing is to take your customers, reestablish relationships, and lock them down. It sounds kind of mercenary, but no, that's what we're trying to do. If you are, let's just say that you're in the health food business, right? If you have a health food store, you want people to make that second trip. You don't want them shopping, supplements at Myers. You want to be relevant enough to those customers that they will not buy their supplements at Myers, that they will make a point of going into your health food store. This is what I talk about when I'm talking about locking people up. So this is interesting too. One of our Platinum Mastermind groups, this is talking to your customers. This is a poll that one of our Platinum Mastermind groups members put up on Instagram. And she put a number of polls up, but she's got a baby and children's store in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And she has a great Instagram presence. And it's called Shop Cravings if you want to follow her. But she, Saskatoon was locked down. So now she's starting to be opened up. But in marketing, we call it a shot across the bow. So her first poll was, would you come into the store would you shop in store if we were open? And most people said yes. And then she asked, would you be willing to shop in the store if you booked an appointment? So again, what is she doing? She's just sort of building this idea that we're open. It's this whole thing of, a shot across the bow is what they used to do in the Navy, right? Before they'd engage, they'd shoot across the bow to say, hey, we're serious about this. You want to fight? Stop what you're doing, So I love this idea of using polls to gauge the pulse of your customer base. Now, again, I encourage you to watch today's podcast because what I created there was a system to not talk to your customer base in general, but to talk to your customers specifically and to ask them these kinds of questions that give you an insight into how they want to shop individually. And I think that, again, this omni-experiential idea is to meet people where they want to be met. And if you do what I shared in the episode today, I think you'll get a good beat on what to do. All right, the name game. This is our friend Kelly Larson here in Grand Haven. And this one has gone viral in our community, and for a very, very good reason. And let me have a drink of water and I will share it with you. Not my glass of water. I would share it with you if you were here, though. So the name game gets posted inside and outside the store, and it gets posted on social media. Kelly owns the front porch. This is a sandwich board outside of her store on M104 that runs between I-96 and Grand Haven. So it is a busy, busy road. So every day she puts a name on the sandwich board, and she posts the name of the day on social media. Now, I'd like you to observe that 57 people liked it, loved it, 87 people shared it, 260 people commented on it. And if you look, all of the comments are people going, "Oh my God, I know an Alex needs to get into the front porch for his ice cream cone." So, this is a great, great, great way to drive traffic and to build your social media following. And, the thing about it is, so when you talk about driving traffic, some people will come in and just get their free ice cream cone, but most people don't. Most people bring their whole families, don't they? And they bring their friends. So this is just an incredibly successful marketing tactic that really costs nothing. Now I'll share somebody else. This is Platinum Mastermind Group alumni Deb Purdy, and Deb has 2 stores in Windsor, Ontario. And she learned about the name game, and she started giving, and she sells natural skinwear products, right? Healthy skinwear products. And so she started doing the name game, and you got a free bar of soap. But you can see the same thing, 105 likes, 62 shares, 271 comments. And this was just, again, in one day. And because Deb was a member of the Platinum Mastermind Group, she was intensely focused on lifetime value of a customer. And what she shared with us, that the new customers she acquired in the first month that she did the name game had a lifetime value of well over $100,000. So she's giving away a bar of soap to acquire a customer, and I don't remember what her lifetime value was. But again, we're looking at our retail businesses through the lens of the long term. Of course, we need to make sales now, but we're also playing the long game. Retail is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Sometimes you got to pick up the pace. Now is one of those times, but we're really looking at the long term. We're looking at building relationships and building that lifetime value of a customer. Subscriptions are great. I love subscriptions. That is when somebody gives you their credit card and you send them something every single month. And subscriptions are best with consumables, hot sauce of the month, bacon of the month, something like that. But the nice thing about subscriptions is that it's recurring, right? Every month you get to charge their credit card, and it's touchless. It's an easy way to do it. If you're in the food business at all, I really, really, really want to encourage you to buy something from Zingerman's online. You all know Zingerman's. We're here in Michigan. But Ari, the co-founder, Ari Weinswag, co-founder of Zingerman's, has been the keynote at our Retail Success Summit, I think 3 times now, because everybody absolutely loves him. But nobody does subscriptions better than Zingerman's. And the reason that I'm suggesting you buy something, because then they're going to start to send you their catalogs, and you can see what they do, and they're masters. They have a bacon of the month club, a bread of the month club, a olive oil of the month club, a send your student a care package of the month club. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And, when we start thinking of new ways of doing business right now, and we need to think of new ways to do business, subscriptions is certainly something to think about. I love mystery bags. I love mystery bags. And that is when you create a bag and you sell it, usually at a discount. It makes the buying decision easy. So we just missed Mother's Day, but you can start building mystery bags for Father's Day. You can put older merchandise in a mystery bag. Yes, but don't put crappy merchandise in a mystery bag. But, we all do it. How many of you have made a bad buy? And if you're watching this with somebody you work with, look at each other and say, you've never made a bad buy. We all make bad buys, right? And so it's good merchandise. It just didn't sell. Or it's good merchandise that sold, but in our enthusiasm in Atlanta or whatever show you go to, you bought way too much. So those are the things that you can load up the mystery bags. And they're fun for Facebook Lives. They're just a good thing. Here's a Platinum Mastermind Group member, Misha Seto. I mentioned her earlier. She has all those stores on the Maryland, on the Delaware shore. These are all mystery bags waiting for curbside pickup. And we have bundles. I love bundles. So I'll tell you a quick story about bundles. So as you know, I was in at the Mackinac Kite Company. And in the early years of the Mackinac Kite Company, when we were in Mackinac City, first of all, our primary marketing was flying kites. Our motto was, we fly them, they buy them. We'd put up these big shows on the marina lawn, and that would get people, interested in kites, and they'd come in the store. Often, they were buying it for their families. So we would start to show them. So our most popular kite was a 6-foot Delta. So we'd show somebody a 6-foot Delta, and we'd show them a 4-foot or a 6-foot, right? And the 6-foot was better, and it cost more. And then we'd show them line. And you could either buy 500 feet or 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet was better, and it cost more. And then we show them a wooden spool versus a plastic spool. A wooden spool was better, and it cost more. And then we show them a tail, and a tail was better. And of course, it added on to the sale. And so that whole bundle ended up costing about $30. And then one day, it always takes me a couple of years. I'm not too smart. I was like, wait a second. Let's create a bundle out of this. So it costs it was about $1 discount. Like I said, it cost 30 something, $29.99. It was our summer super special. And it allowed people to easily buy it. And it made it easy for them to buy, and it increased our average sale. People weren't buying 4-footers with 500 feet on a plastic spool. Almost everybody bought the bundle. The number of smaller, less expensive kites went way down. Everything associated with the bigger, better bundle went way up. So I'm looking at you and saying, this is part of being a savvy merchant. What are your best sellers? What bundles can you build around that? Right now, people are still staying at home. If you're a bookstore, can you create a bundle of children's books? If you're a toy store, can you create a bundle of games and puzzles? Bundles are wonderful. Another thing that you can do is when you create a bundle, offer some of that merchandise, again, good merchandise that didn't sell that you need to clear out. This is a new idea that's been making the rounds in our Whiz Bang Retailers group. And frankly, I think it's brilliant. I mean, off the charts brilliant. Have a Facebook group that is, it's a group, not a page, a group that is your outlet store. One of our clients has got 3 stores in Ontario, and she calls it Sarah's Closet, right? She sells clothing and lifestyle accessories, Sarah's Closet. But that's where she does her clearance. And, she posts albums of all the stuff that she has on clearance. Recognize this. This goes to the second bullet point, although there's no bullet points. A lot of people don't like discount shoppers. I used to really not like discount shoppers. It's like, man, how come those people, the only time they shop with me is when it's a clearance sale? And then one day I realized that I was looking at it all wrong, that those people were an important part of my customer base. They helped me clear out the stuff I needed to clear out. You know, when I had an aquarium, you always had to have a bottom feeder to keep the aquarium clean. And I just came to think of those people who only shopped discounts, who only shopped clearance, as the bottom feeders of my customer base. I loved them. There is no derogatory feelings towards them at all. But this is a great way for you to get your clearance items off the floor, off your clearance rack, and someplace else to sell them. An adaptation, this is another adaptation from Misha. I mean, Misha's a force of nature. She created different interest groups. So she sells troll beads. So she has a Facebook group just for people who like troll beads. She has a Facebook group just for people who like souvenir wear from Lewis, Delaware. So she has not only has her main Facebook page, her outlet Facebook page, but she has Facebook pages for particular categories of her merchandise. And she says it really, really drives sales. Because think about this, if she's got 13 stores in 3 different niches, she doesn't want to sell troll beads to the people who are tourists. She wants to build enthusiasm around the troll beads to her troll bead customers. So I absolutely love that. And if you have multiple categories, I would, that have very, very strong, distinct customer bases, I'd encourage you to think about that also. All right, we are almost to Q&A. We're going to have about 15 minutes. But before we do that, I would really love to have you be part of our community. I would love to invite you to be part of what we do, which is do everything we can to help you become more successful. And these are just our free resources. So if you go to whizbangtraining.com, there is an H in whizbang. You can sign up for our free tip of the week. And every Wednesday, we send out a free tip. We just passed number 19, so we have been sending weekly tips for a long, long time. You will also get every Monday, you will get about a 10-minute video blog post called Real Retail TV. And so those are absolutely free of charge, of course. And then we also have our Whizbang Retailers Facebook group. And I would encourage you, strongly encourage you. I am so proud of what is going on in that community. Such support, such positivity. Like I said, ain't no room for no negativity in that. How's that for grammar? I'm a professional speaker. Ain't no room for negativity in that group, but it's not. It's relentlessly positive. And if you go with a question or a problem, people, jump in to help right away. And of course, we have Whizbang Training on social media. We are just starting to restart our Instagram game, Whizbang Training. We have a Whizbang Training YouTube channel. Of course, we have a page on Facebook, but we have all those things on social media. And of course, we have products and programs that I would love to have you take a look at. I love giving away stuff for free, but really what I have found in my life as a business person and what I'm sharing with you and suggesting to you is free is great. But when you pay for high quality information that works, the investment is paying for something will get you where you want to go a lot faster than getting it slowly through free. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to get to where we need to be as soon as possible. We're trying to rebuild and restore. We're trying to get on the road to restoration as quickly as possible. So we have our retail mastery system, which is the world's largest, the world's most comprehensive training resource for independent retailers. Anyway, I don't need to tell you about it. If you're interested, go to whizbangtraining.com and you'll learn about it there. So those are resources for you. I hope that you'll choose to take advantage of those. All right. Carolyn,
Wow.
do we have questions?
We sure do. I just have to say, you asked if people were taking notes. I have been scribbling like crazy.
Well,
So
I'm glad to hear that.
I
I'm
hope
glad to hear that.
everybody is getting as much really great gold nuggets here. We do have some questions. So I am going to start with this one. As we talk about the pandemic and where we are right now, have you seen any really good examples of cause marketing from stores as it relates to the pandemic?
Absolutely. So, and there's lots of definitions of cause marketing, but how we teach cause marketing, and we really call it whiz bang retail cause marketing because most people think of cause marketing as giving a donation. What we teach is you work with a local organization, and when they send their supporters to you and their supporters spend money, you give a percentage of the sales generated by the supporters back to the cause. And I have seen a lot of this. I'll give one example. So one of our clients has 6 pet stores in Rochester, New York. And what he is doing is once a week on Tuesdays, all the purchases, 20% go back to, no, he did 10%. 10% goes back to he has rotating animal rescue shelters. So let's say Tuesday is the West Ottawa Humane Society. So on that Tuesday, West Ottawa really has an incentive to get their supporters to do their shopping on that day. So, this is a perfect opportunity for you as brick and mortar, independent, local retailers to ask yourself, who needs my support? And then you partner with that group. And when that group sends their customers to you, you give a percentage of the sales back. It's a great way to get new customers and to get your current customer base more engaged with you. So Russ is just one example, but the process, if this is what the person is asking about, is ask yourself, who do I want to support right now? Who's me? Whose supporters are probably likely to be good customers of mine? And then find a way to do a promotion where their supporters come in and a percentage of those sales go back to the organization.
Great.
I
That
hope
sounds
I
like
answered that question.
yeah. No, that's a great way to build that relationship with your customers too, and really communicate
Absolutely.
your values.
Yes.
Um, I have a question here about the Facebook private group. So you said that's one of the best tools for Facebook Live, Facebook groups. In regards to setting up a Facebook private group for clearance merchandise, are there any concerns with abiding MAP policies with vendors?
Ah, Well, I guess the question goes back to, do you have, some people have MAP and it's strict. But really, so the essential question is, do you put clearance in your store? When you clear something all out on your website, do you worry about it? So I think that's a vendor by vendor case. Some vendors have the chops, the strength, the ability to enforce MAP, MSP. But not all do. So I guess what I'm saying to you is, if you can't do it in your store, you shouldn't do it on this Facebook group. If you can, yes.
All right. Good advice. Can we talk a minute about your team and keeping your team on track and your employees on track? You talked about the clienteling, which I thought was wonderful. So you maybe have some staff members who are really very strong at developing those relationships with customers, maybe more so than others. So what would your opinion be that if you can't bring everyone back at once, do you have recommendations on how you would approach who to bring back?
Absolutely. So, this is a marketing program, but don't get me on a roll. Think about this. This is, and I've talked about this in several of the podcasts, but this is the opportunity for you to reset your culture. Here's what I know. I know it from my experience. And, this is all I do is work with independent retailers like the people who are on this call. When times are good, there's lots of slack, right? When times are good and you're making money, everybody's got that one person who, shows up late every day, or their average sale is way, way below the store average. And, they're just dialing it in. They don't care. But you carry the dead weight because it's easier to carry the dead weight than it is to do the things you need to do to get rid of the dead weight, right? Oh,
Yeah.
I have to fire them. I hate firing people. And then I got to hire somebody. I hate hiring people, especially when there's 3.5% unemployment. And then I got to train them. And so this whole process is a hassle. So now is the time. Now is the time to ask yourself, what does my dream team look like?
Mm-hmm.
And who do I have now that is on my dream team? And those are the only people who get brought back.
Right.
This is the perfect time to cull the herd. And it's the perfect time to bring in new people. Excuse me. I just shared, right now, J. Crew just is, filed for bankruptcy. All the stores in the malls are, laying people off. Right now, there is a glut of highly skilled retail people. By the way, if you're looking for a store manager, now there has never been a better time. So when you think about it, don't say, oh, but I liked her so much. She's so nice. My son dates her daughter. She's been with me for 20 years. If she doesn't have this job, what will she do? No, now is the time. Because here's the thing, Carolyn. I've been sharing all along that I'm incredibly bullish about the future of brick and mortar independent retail. But you better be good, right? Here's the other thing that we didn't talk about, just because there's so many things to talk about, is I believe that what's going to happen as things emerge is people are going to fail more quickly, or they are going to grow more quickly. They're going to fail more quickly because your customers have so many other shopping options. And if you're not great, they're going to go someplace else. Conversely, if you are great, if your team is great, if you have them trained, if they know how to sell, then you're going to grow. I call it the upward spiral of prosperity. Think about this. You have a great team. They're highly trained. They know how to sell. Now, somebody comes in, they get a great experience, or maybe they do it over the phone, or maybe they see your Facebook Live. But when you're great, you get a customer, and that customer will buy more from you. So we're talking about lifetime value of a customer, more transactions. But more than that, when you're great and you have hyper loyal customers, they're going to tell their friends, and their friends come into that spiral. And that's how you grow your business. You grow your business by building your customer base, and that customer base naturally grows because you're so great that people are referring, in addition to your efforts to get new customers.
I mean, we keep hearing so much that so much of this is about your team and your people.
Oh.
And so I just want to thank you for giving us inspiration for how to make sure that we've got our dream teams in place. And this has been wonderful. We're
great.
So grateful to have you with us today. Thank you.
I'm honored. I mean, I truly, truly, you're my people. We're West Michigan.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being here. And we will have a recording of this available on our website later today. So we encourage people there's a lot here. You might want to go back and rewatch some things and keep working on your notes like me. You're also going to see an email from us in a little while, and it's going to be asking for your feedback in the form of a really short survey. And getting your feedback is what gives us the opportunity to make sure we're giving you the most remarkable programs that we possibly can. So we appreciate you just taking a minute to fill out that survey. Also, we have our coronavirus toolkit available on our website with lots of resources and links to additional information. Also, since you're here, as a bonus for you today, I'm going to give you a preview on the upcoming programs that we have. So this Friday, we are offering an event, a virtual event on PPP. So there's still a lot of questions about that, and we hope that on Friday, we're going to be able to provide some more clarity and answer those questions. And then next week, we actually have two programs that do revolve around teams and people. So Bob's information is really relevant for that. The first one is going to be about how you're going to keep your team inspired and motivated as we're working through being separated from each other so much of the time. And then the second program that we're offering on Teams next week is how are you going to prepare your team for that post-pandemic work environment as it relates to putting your best foot forward for your business. So having said that, I thank you again for taking the time with us today, and we will hopefully see you soon and make it a great day. Bye-bye.